Hello everybody, it's me Margaret. It's been a while since I put up a video, basically because I didn't have anything of interest to fill a video. However, I do have a few yarn projects that I can show, so I'm going to throw those in right here. So I'm now an acrylic blocking machine. Look how much better this looks. If you had watched my other video where I showed you how wonky it is. It completely solves all the problems. Now, you remember how this was so raised and it pulled up? And I just got it all even. So I am now very, very pleased with bigger crochet projects looking better. Now here I ran into another problem, and that is I don't have enough of these little cushion things to pin into, because this is a larger project, and by the time I do all the stretching I'm going to need more room. So maybe I should purchase some more, but I'm going to try to do it in parts, because I mean this is a baby blanket, right? So what if I were to do a larger piece? That I need to understand if I can do it in pieces and parts. So I have pinned out the majority of it. It goes to about right here. I just stuck that there to kind of pull it out of the way. But I'll block this portion, and then I'll try to match the top with what I've created down here, with the shape that I've created down here. So we'll see if that works. And I'm happy to say that it turned out just fine. I'm very pleased. I did the majority of it in one fell swoop, and then I went back and I did probably the top 5 inches, and it worked out great. Okay, I'm standing on the chair, so maybe we could see better, but when I laid it out flat and smoothed out the wrinkles, you can see that it's done really well. Now you may be wondering why it is I did not do this on my bed, as I've seen a lot of people do, and I'll show you why. I really like using these, but apparently they're thicker than I thought. Can you see the little marks that they leave? I don't want to risk putting that in my mattress, so that's why I'm not doing it on one of the beds. So I think I may end up just purchasing a few more of these, maybe another package. Well, I don't know. I mean, that would be ideal, but you can see that this worked out just fine doing it in 2 parts. So there you go. And here is a final corner to corner that I did. It's a little baby blanket, sort of a car seat size. I think it came out really, really cute. Now I adapted this pattern from something else. It's been a while now, so I'm gonna have to go look it up. If I have a way to share this with you, then I will. I actually took this, enlarged it, so that instead of going all the way to the end, I added one more set of grass. See the green over here on the side, so that my border would be extended around it instead of actually touching the sheep. And then I just kind of made up my own border after that around it. This I probably can figure out a way to share and put in the description box with my changes. But as far as the border goes, make up your own. But it turned out really well. I'm really proud of that one. Here's a before blocking picture, and I totally forgot to take one after blocking, you know, on the handy dandy blocking mat grid, but I think you can see how much more squared and flat it is in this shot here on the table. If you want to learn more about steam blocking acrylic, I'll put a link to that in the description box too. Wait till you see this month's Knit Crate yarn. I love what I got. It's 48% merino wool, 20% baby alpaca, 32% organic Pima cotton, and it's DK weight. And of course, hand wash gently, lie flat. Look how cute this is. Has kind of an iridescent sheen to it. And here's all the colors that this particular yarn comes in. Of course, I got the daffodil. I'm covering up the information here where you can get the pattern downloads and everything, but over here you will notice that if you are a Knit Crate member, that this yarn is available for double down, meaning that you get an additional 20% off of eligible items in the Members Central. It goes on to say that they're already discounted by 50% when you're logged into your active account. So that runs through June 9th. Now this is called Knitology Wisp, which is a Knit Crate brand. And the color I got was clay pot, and this is 100% merino wool DK weight. But I will tell you, I am questioning if it's a DK weight. If it is, it's on the bigger end, or maybe you might want to call it a number 4 worsted on the lower end. But it's a great yarn. And this is the little extra that came with it. It's a very nice quality journal. It just has the lined paper on the inside. So this little book can be whatever it is you want it to be. But I love that it has the elastic closure. Here are all the colors that this particular yarn is available in. I got the clay pot, which to me does not look like it's, you know, a variegation in color in any form or fashion like these two. These 3 seem to be a nice solid color, but there you go. And here we have my first ever mosaic crochet attempt. And interestingly enough, this does not have to be blocked. Now with mosaic crochet, you start on one end and you go to the other and you cut your yarn. You start on the other end, you go to the other and you cut your yarn. And because of that, you don't have your typical leaning crochet stitches that you have in normal crochet. So therefore everything ends up nice and square. Now you do have a lot, because you cut the ends, you do have a whole lot of ends that stick off over here. So what I did is followed a tutorial by Tina, I think her name is. I don't know, I'm gonna have to look that up for you and link it below, where she shows how to enclose all the ends in this little envelope here. But with mosaic crochet, it is not reversible. It looks like that on the back, which isn't bad per se, but this is where you get that design. This is called Apache Tears, is the type of pattern that it is. I've also noticed that there are many different versions of this Apache Tears pattern. This is done with single crochet and a double crochet that drops down into the row below. There are some people who do double crochet all the way around, and then they do a triple that drops down. And of course I'm using US terms. So the varying lengths is another version. This is done with 5 single crochet and then the 6th one drops down. So some people might do it longer and then the drop down happens, but the principle is still the same. It's straight stitches and followed by a drop down stitch. Now the yarn that I used here was a color changing yarn. This was Lion Brand Mandala, and I think it came out really well. I used 1 skein for the entire blanket, and this I would call baby blanket size. Now something you won't necessarily notice that I was thrilled with was that mosaic crochet is incredibly forgiving. I used a different yarn here. It's 3 rows of double crochet, and I used a different yarn right here on both sides, right against the blanket. And throughout, I didn't have enough of the same white yarn, so I grabbed every white that I had. Some were open skeins, you know, partial skeins, and it didn't matter. It just really worked up well. Now I have washed it. It possibly could stand a benefit from blocking, but I think it's pretty close to being so square that I don't think I'm going to bother doing that. Now that Lion Brand Mandala is actually a DK weight yarn, so I thought let's try it with a worsted weight yarn. Went so much faster. And this was, what is that yarn that I love? Premier, I'll put it in the description box. And it worked really well. Now in this case, I created this color changes myself. So I started out by alternating pink and white, and I did it about, I don't remember now, was it 12 rows or so? I don't know, it was 8 of these pink rows, or white rows, let's say. And then I switched out the white for yellow, but kept the pink. And so then as we traveled up, I switched out the pink, but kept the yellow, and I used this corally color. And then as I moved up, I kept the coral, switched out the yellow, and added the pink back in. and then I reversed the process as we went this direction. And I like the overall effect that it gives. After I finished all that, I was kind of organizing yarn because I'm trying to use a lot of what I have. And I ran across this. I only have one skein of this, and I thought, well, aren't those colors pretty together? I thought they were kind of unusual. This happens to be, what is it? 10% wool, 10% mohair, and 80% acrylic. It's not the softest in the world, but I think if I wash it, it's going to turn out really nice. I don't have any plans for it at the moment, so I just put it aside and was just really inspired by the colors. So while I was messing with my yarn, I used this as an inspiration, and I pulled out some Premier Basics colors that were kind of reminiscent of what I had going on in this skein. And I did, or have started, another one of these Apache Tears Afghans. This one's going to be a little bit smaller. Width-wise, it already is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to make it a little shorter than the other two. But I do like the colors together. I still like the Apache Tears patterns. I like the texture of it. It's very simple. I don't have to think about it. And I'm enjoying mosaic crochet very, very much. I would like to learn some other patterning to do because it's really, really pretty. And I'm going to link that tutorial, those tutorials that I watched from Tina's channel down below because she's the master. She is actually a brilliant designer, and I highly, highly recommend what she says to do. Did I say that I thought this was a little busy? Because I think that it is, but I am enjoying it all the same. And remember, just because it may not be my very favorite doesn't mean it wouldn't appeal to someone else. And remember that since I'm primarily a charity knitter and crocheter, then I think I need to make sure that I provide something for different tastes and, things like that. But I love the colors together. It's just a touch busy in this one row pattern here. Although I have seen other ones that were more colors than this that were put together, and yet they didn't strike me as busy. It really was pretty. It was a perfect idea for a scrap Afghan. I'm enamored with this type of crochet. So what else have I been doing? Well, I've been studying French. So I can say, bonjour tout le monde, c'est moi, Margaret. Don't you love that accent? So clearly I have much work to do on that. Now, why am I studying French? No reason in particular other than it's a bucket list thing. My family's from New Orleans. Both my grandmothers could speak fluent French. My one grandmother could speak Parisian, one grandmother spoke Cajun French, two different dialects, but basically the same thing. Grew up with all these phrases and sayings and whatever. Took French in high school, but that didn't take. But something that's fascinated me right now is how far we've come in language learning science, how people acquire languages. And while the schools have not really caught up on that a lot, there are systems and programs and different things like that that have. Mainly what I'm doing right now is a free app called Duolingo. You probably have heard about it. It's been around for ages. Although every time I bring it up to one of my friends, they're like, what is this? I don't know what you're talking about. So several of my friends have picked a language and they've started studying it too. It's good for the brain. This is not sponsored by them anyway, by the way. It's just a really good little thing that I wanted to mention. Having fun with it. It's like a little game. So it's fun and you do some every day. I think I'm up to like 140 something days in a row, and you get little prizes and badges and all that kind of stuff. But the best thing about it is the way it's utilizing the current language learning science. So it's placing you into no, it's not. It's introducing you in the right way without bombarding you with language skills. I mean grammar skills. I'm sorry. I'm so distracted. I don't know if you can hear, but the emergency sirens go off, whatever this is, the first day of the month and at this time of day, every month, just for testing purposes, and that just kind of got me distracted. So sorry about that. So are we traveling to France? Well, we don't have a trip planned right this very minute, but yeah, we're retired, so we will be going on a trip at some point. But that's not why I'm studying French. It'll come in handy though, because I have learned a lot already, and I'm looking forward to, by the time we do plan the trip, I should be able to, I don't know about, I'm going to be much of a communicator per se. I don't know if I'll get that good, but reading and being able to get around, I can already read it really well. I've got a book of short stories and different things like that. I am having difficulties speaking it, pulling up the right words and getting the words in the right order. But anyway, that's just a hobby. And another hobby I have been doing is reworking my closet. I am wiping out all the stuff that I'm keeping just in case, that sort of stuff. I'm actually building capsule wardrobes. Capsule wardrobes, if you don't know, are when you have all your things go with all your other things, and it works fine for your everyday wear, and even sometimes you can dress things up and dress things down, but just by switching out a couple of pieces. And that's what I want to do because of the traveling that we're planning to do in the future. And speaking of that, we are going to England to see Thomas here in a few months. So I've also started another research project. I am bound and determined to travel only in carry-on, even when we go for long trips like to Europe. Last time we went, our luggage was lost. Wait, this sounds like more of a tragedy than it is. We're always prepared for this eventuality, as it's happened more times than we care to admit. But I will do it no more. And while we were there a few days early, which was really good, we were going on a cruise. That would have been a problem if we had flown one day early, as most people do, and then jump on the boat and we had no luggage. That would have been a real problem. I'm not sure how they handled that, quite frankly. I'm sure that the cruise line, depending upon the level of cruise line that you have, would have probably done something to help you get your luggage. But if not, what do you do? Now, you may wonder why I'm sitting downstairs. I'm in my dining room right now, using the window as my light. I'm not upstairs in the craft room, and the reason why is because my poor little dog is now 16 years old and he can't make it up the stairs. He cries. He sits down at the bottom and he cries for me, and when I go to pick him up, he's very sensitive, what with his joints, and he has a growth somewhere, and it's fine. It's a benign growth, but it bothers him if it's pressed or something like that. So he kind of runs from me, doesn't want me to carry him up the stairs. So I try to spend as much time down as I can because of him. So that's why I just didn't have it in me to go carry down my lights and all that kind of stuff. So we're just sitting right here by the light, and we're gonna call it good. So thanks for hanging out with me. That's all I've got today, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.